Are you curious? This is Angie Stewart from Mia InnerLight and Kardec Radio. Today we are going to talk about witches. Are they real? Do they have special powers? Do they still exist nowadays? So if you want to know more about this answer and many others, please subscribe, click the like button and also activate the bell so you will know every time we post a new video. So let's talk about witches. To do that, I need to go again into history. I love history. The video of the previous week was about Halloween and how this tradition started with the people called the Celts from the north area of Europe. So if you want to know more about it, check out this video. But today we are going to talk specifically about witches. We have to go again in very similar period of time and location: Scotland, England, and Ireland. So specifically in Scotland, in the end of the 1500s, there was a king called James I. He was the son of Mary, Queen of Scots. And his mom died, as we all know, and he was put into the throne at the age of 1 year old. Time passed, and James became kind of obsessed with different phenomena, many phenomena that they couldn't understand. So he started researching specifically about witchcraft, and he wrote a book. And this book was written in 1599. It's a very thick book. It's very confusing, especially because it's the old English language. He writes about witchcraft, necromancy, possessions, demons, werewolves, fairies, ghosts, and much, much more. Everything he wrote in this book was about how they believed in that time. It's a very confused, intellectual way of rationalizing certain phenomena that they couldn't really explain. And we have to understand that there is also a lot of prejudice and a lot of ways it was done in order to justify the barbaric witch hunts of the time. There were no ways for a person to defend themselves. So when this phenomena started in Scotland by the end of the 1500s, anyone could accuse anybody of being a witch. And the person that was called witch was brought to be investigated. And they had lots of ways of making this person to confess. So there were a lot of different methods of torture. There is one that they used to put pieces of wood on the fingers and press until all the fingers were broken. There was another one that was a method that was sleep deprivation. A person used to be weeks not allowed to sleep. People were taking turns in poking them, throwing water, making them walk in a room. This drives anyone crazy. There was another method also that was the river sunk. That was the craziest one. If you throw a person in a river with the hands tight, the legs tight, and the person floats, the person is a witch. if the person sinks, it might not be. The problem is the person might be dead too. So these are just the methods they utilized. The worst thing is that anyone could accuse anyone, so it spreaded like crazy. So in the early 1600s, Queen Elizabeth dies, and then King James I is brought to England. Now King James is the king of Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales. He is the big king. And going to England, he brought there the witch persecutions. So now the witches were being persecuted in Scotland, England, and soon it spread all over the place. They target the most fragile women, were the old ones, the ones that had no husbands, or they had no family, or they had some kind of physical problem. That's why when they used to talk about witches, they always talk about the old woman, toothless, with some kind of black mark, or like a cranky woman. Anything was enough to justify being a witch. But in reality, men, they were envious of women because women were more sensitive. Women brought that sense of calmness to their families, many times to litigations. They were able to help both sides to go into some kind of agreement. Women also were the ones who used to cook to the family, and they were the ones who provided medications for the family. So they were used to cultivate and manipulate the herbs that men didn't even understand how to deal with it. Women knew how to take specific herbs to cure specific diseases. So all these things, and also trying to put women down, made men to start naming the women as witches in the beginning. Of course, later on it is spread to men too. And how it ended up in the United States? Well, it ended up in the United States with the Pilgrims moving from Europe, moving from England to the United States. So here it started happening a lot of a turmoil, very similar to what happened in England. Prejudice, fanatical religious beliefs. I am talking about the Salem witch trials. Yes, Salem is a city in Massachusetts here in the US. It all started with two little girls that supposedly started getting fits when they were exposed to certain women. And then somehow they started saying they were witches. This went so crazy that these two girls accused hundreds of women of being witches. And in the end, they even accused of the wife of the governor. But that's when the governor said, no, that's crazy. Let's stop with it. And then this governor finally made all the people being accused of being witches to be pardoned, and things changed. Anyone accused somebody else of being a witch was put into jail. So it is stopped. And what we have to do with this in Spiritism? If you are talking about witch nowadays, it is pretty much connected with superpowers. It's pretty much connected with some kind of potion that you can do to hypnotize something, or it's connected with this inner power that you can talk to the unknown. And in Spiritism, we get this connection with mediumship. So in Spiritism, witches could be pretty much mediums. And we understand it's nothing supernatural. The mediumship is actually a characteristic of the physical body. If you can study the acts of the pineal gland, you will understand deeply about it. There's a lot of researchers researching specifically the pineal gland connected with spirituality and with mediumship. So nowadays, mediums are people that have these ostensive sensations, feelings. They can see spirits, they can feel, they can even talk to them. In a sense, we are all mediums because we all have certain sensations, certain inspirations, and we can say that we are mediums. But the ostensive mediums are really the ones who have this ability to fully connect and be able to understand the spirits, that they are nothing more than human beings that discarnated and they are living in the spiritual realm. I am a medium, so if I was living in the time of the witchcraft in Salem, yes, I probably would have been hung or I would be burned. But thank God, nowadays it's not happening anymore, and it's okay to say that you are a medium. All types of questions and answers about the mediumship, how to protect yourself, how to understand when someone is lying, how to understand all about this phenomenon. I hope you like it. See you soon.
Just tell me what you want.